Gadgets for Family, the tech podcast for the person that spent way too much money last week and the person that took our advice. And Greg has his hand raised, and the person that took our advice and used things like trade ins and other resources to get the best price possible. And anyone else looking to get more out of their lives through tech. I'm your host, Jay Benjamin.
And I'm your host, Greg Cunningham. And I don't think I spent too much money, but I wish I hadn't had to spend quite that much. But I
Yep.
did, right? And I think this also applies to all of those that are still sitting there waiting for the hand me down, right?
Yep.
Like, yeah,
Which is the best part of the year.
please get up at 6 a.m. and order that phone so I can have a new one.
All right. So thanks for sticking around, folks. This is the part of the show where we go into a deeper dive about certain topics and things that we like to talk about on the show. This is our extra geeky portion. So if you're sticking around, thank you. We know you're just like us and you love this kind of thing. So, Greg, I thought we'd talk about um, not just I think we talked plenty about the different features and stuff that's came out since WWDC earlier this year. But let's talk about how we've been integrating these things in our daily lives, right? And how we've been using some of these features. So I figure we'll start with iOS and talk about how we're getting along with just the phone for now. So um, I'm starting with this one because I know you mentioned last week that you were kind of slowing down, or kind of backing off, experimenting with some of these features and things like that because, we had mentioned and weeks and weeks ago, should you wait and get the full iOS experience, iOS 17 experience with all of the new features, plus the features that are exclusive to the 15 Pro Max, and just talk about that whole journey from the iPhone 12. But um, with that in mind, I know you hadn't jumped in on everything, but some of the stuff that you did play around with your 12 and things like that. Let's talk about some of the things that you did experiment with, did play around with after you upgraded to the beta.
Sure. I mean, I had two things that kind of changed my mind. One, 2 week delay on getting the new phone, right? So
Right,
there's
right.
that. And then we're doing this show. So I probably wouldn't have touched a bunch of this stuff without those two
Yeah.
things. But first of all, the messaging stuff. You and I have do a lot of messaging back and forth. And actually, yesterday when my wife grabbed her phone and I was trying to tell her we were working on check-in, which I'll talk about in a second, but I
Hmm.
told her that all of her messaging menu stuff was under the plus sign. She went, "Oh, that's really nice."
Yeah. Kind of cleaned up that whole experience right
Right.
underneath the chat bar. I mean the typing, window.
Yep. So I've been using the messaging stuff. App shortcuts and spotlight search.
Hmm.
Absolutely. That is so nice. And like one of the
Yeah.
things, I wish they had the wallet app separate on the iPad like they do on the phone because I use the Apple Card and almost all of our expenses go through that. So,
Hmm.
but to be able to go in there and just type in wallet, it pulls up the shortcut right into that section of settings. So those
Okay.
shortcuts in spotlight search are phenomenal. I mentioned this earlier that live photos on my lock screen. So I am loving
Yep.
that live photo on my lock screen. So those are the few of the things. Um, and then yesterday, I got my wife upgraded. Sharing AirTags. I told you I was waiting on
Hmm.
that one, right? Because it's
Yep. That
so
was on your
annoying.
wish list.
Yep. And so I shared all of my AirTags last night with my wife, and she shared the one that she has. She has hers on her e-bike. I have mine on my e-bike, my regular mountain bike, my keys, my wallet. So we shared all of those back and forth. It's crazy simple. It's just like you would
Hmm.
think. You tap on add person, you find the person in your contacts, and it tells you if they're
Right.
eligible or not. They get a notification that says, "Hey, so and so has shared this with you. Here's what it means. Do you want to add it?" They hit add, and you're good to go.
Okay.
So crazy
Nice.
easy, works like it's supposed to. Um, Check-in is a little more complicated than I thought it was going to be. Now, they've actually,
Okay.
there's two sides to check in. They have a timer, so you can set it so remind me to check in with so and so in X amount of time or when I
Hmm.
arrive. Now, we didn't test the when I arrive yet because we were both laying out in the hammocks in the backyard,
Yeah.
but we did check the time in one. There's a little more to it. So you actually go in and start the check in and send it to them. And then you have to go back in and edit it to say whether you want to do it when you arrive or whether you want to use the timer. So you're telling them
Okay.
I'm checking in. It just seemed a little bit clunky. Um,
Yeah.
but it seems to work okay. We'll do a check in, when I arrive, when we get a chance to do it. So I'm excited to play with that one a little more. So,
Okay.
and then the widgets everywhere. And I don't want to spoil a lot of the widget stuff. I'll save that for next week in that episode talking
Yeah.
about some of the apps and some of the work that I've done. But the one thing that's related to widgets that made me go all in on a couple of the accessories is standby mode.
Hmm.
This is just
Well,
phenomenal.
but before we get into standby mode, I just want to say, so with the messaging stuff, um, it is really great being able to swipe and reply to a message. It just kind of streamlines the process. Just like I said, just that app tray, hitting that plus, being able to scroll through to find your stuff. There's one thing though that I'm absolutely gonna miss, and when they added this feature, I loved it. I remember reading articles about people complaining about it, but they obviously didn't use it as much as my brothers and some of my colleagues and stuff, and the small business owners use, and then you and I use it not as much, but we do from time to time. But that was the ability to tap and record a message and then release it,
Yep.
and it automatically sends. Now I thought that was one of the coolest. What do they call that? Just quality of life improvements that they made to iMessage, and they just rip it out like that.
Yeah.
It kind of has me, as I'm sending messages now. I've went on and worked or did something or completed a task and went back to my phone and saw that I forgot to send the message. That's how used to it, that's how ingrained in me it was, just that muscle memory recording it. So I'm actually going to miss that a lot. I
Yep.
wish they would add that back, even if it's a setting or a toggle or something. I wish they would add that back.
Yeah, because you've still
Um,
got two microphone icons, right? But now both of them point to dictation, which is
yeah,
not what we're trying
yeah,
to do. And I found myself after some of our conversations trying to do more voice messages.
hmm,
And now it's to the point where I almost don't want to do them because every time I go in to send one, I have to remember I end up hitting both microphones, neither of which
yeah,
work. And then I still have to remember, oh, yeah, I got to go find it in that little drawer. The drawer is great for
yeah.
everything else, but I agree with you.
Everything else, yes,
That was a step backwards.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm really gonna miss that one. And check in was another one that I was excited about. I just didn't get a chance to play around with it as much as I should. And even leaving my cousin's wedding the other day, we're in the group chat. I'm
Yep.
home. I'm home. I'm home. I'm home. I'm home. And I wanted to say, and all of that, they're still on 16. So when everyone gets upgraded to 17, I'll be able to say, hey, let's stop doing that. Let's do it this way. And but yeah, I just hadn't got a chance to play with it yet. Um, the live photos on a lock screen again. I'm still enjoying some of those old classic lock screens that are like the fish, what are they, the clownfish hiding
Uh
in
huh.
the. I just love those old classic ones, and I hadn't switched my iPad yet, but they have that original iPad wallpaper, but an HD version of it. I just love those. It's kind of nostalgic and modern at the same time. So, but yeah, I like the air tags and things like that. I don't have a use for it yet. We plan on getting some air tags, but yeah, one of the things that we talked about, um, that you were looking forward to, implement this into your desktop workflow was standby mode.
Yep.
So how is that working out for you?
So I'm all in, which also means I'm all in on MagSafe to the point where I started
Yeah.
looking for tripods that have MagSafe. Um,
Yes.
so I ordered one stand to start with because I knew if it worked out, I was going to want one on my desk and on my nightstand, right?
Hmm.
Because I'm in my office a lot, but then I have this stuff during the night too. So I just ordered. I'm still cheap on some of this kind of stuff, right? And so I always
Yeah.
order Amazon. It's the best reason to have Prime is you get all these free returns and all of
Right.
this kind of
Right.
stuff. So I ordered an Anchor two-way charger that's got the MagSafe puck on the top and then the Qi charger on the bottom, so I can charge
Hmm.
my phone and my AirPods, for example, at the same time. And so I
Yeah.
just started playing with it. The one downside to standby mode is that you can only set up standby mode when you're in standby mode. So, like last night when I was fiddling with it, I found me taking the stand and putting it on my lap to try and fiddle with some of the
Right.
widgets and stuff like that. So, um, but I'm all in on this. So,
Yeah.
and now some folks may disagree with this. I did not get the fast charging versions of these. It more than doubles the cost associated with these stands and these chargers. Now, I
Hmm.
may for my trailer next season, right? I may
Right.
decide to do something like that for the trailer because if I'm charging when I'm camping, I want it to go fast.
Right.
So,
Because you're constantly in and out and things like
right.
that. So I would agree. You would need
Yep.
to charge faster.
Now, I did want to be able to continue to fast charge my watch, which influenced what I ended up doing for my nightstand, but I don't need a charger for my watch in my office. It's on my wrist, right? And the Ultra lasts
Yes.
all day long and then some. So I did not get the fast charging versions. For part of the reason is if it's just going to sit on that stand all day, slow
Hmm.
charge is fine, right?
Yep.
Because it's
It
just
is.
never going to discharge. It's just going to sit there and trickle charge the whole time and be fine. But the widgets on there, so there's 3 screens on standby mode. The first one's all the widgets you want to put on there, and you can do clocks and you can do various things. And people can add widgets onto it, like Fantastical did. So I'm actually using their version
Hmm.
of the calendar instead of Apple's. And then you've got a middle one, which is you can choose photo albums. Now that one's going to
Hmm.
be better on the 15 Pro Max because I get the always on screen, because if my screen dims, it locks the phone and then it won't show the photos.
Yeah.
So that one will be cool. And then the third one is the one I use at night, which is just a clock, and then it's almost like your watch nightstand mode, right? It's almost the exact same
Yes.
thing. And then it's got the time for your alarm and then the little weather snippet, which is perfect. So that's what I'm using in on my nightstand, and the one I'll use in here will most likely be the widget one because I can flip between what are my next to
Yes.
dos and calendar and all of that kind of stuff. But I'm all in. You recommended I get the floating ones instead of the ones that sit on my
Yes.
desk because you just basically tilt it up and it pops off the
Yeah.
magnet, but when
Yeah.
you want to put it on, it just aligns it perfectly, which was actually a challenge with my AirPods on these. I've learned that
Right. Same with mine.
I need to put my AirPods so that the lid is towards me instead of towards the back of the stand. That aligns better
Okay.
for whatever reason. And
Okay. I hadn't tried that.
I thought maybe it was the leather case I've got on my AirPods, but it's not. If I turn it around, it works just fine. I mean, it's charging right now. I just drop it on that direction, seems to be
Yeah.
good to go. So I have that
Yeah.
2-way in here, and then I bought a 3-way that's got a little puck thing that pops up for the Apple Watch. But
Hmm.
I got that one. One, it was cheaper than most of the others. Two, it didn't come with the Apple Watch puck because I already have a fast charging one here and in my trailer. And so I
Hmm.
didn't need another puck. So I didn't want to pay the extra money to get the puck. And so I just thread the puck up in, and it
Yeah.
sits vertical, and I can set my watch on there to charge. And then it's got the place for my AirPods, and it's basically the same stand plus the Air or the Apple Watch charger in my nightstand.
Yeah.
So I'll have another week's worth of experience next week, but I am loving it. And my wife actually said, "Oh, that'll be great when I'm getting ready in the bathroom in the morning because usually she's got her watch on a charger in the morning when
Right.
she's getting ready, and she says I can just peek out the door and see your phone." And I said, "Yeah, it'll always be on by the
Yeah.
time when I get the new phone." And she's like, "That'll be perfect because I can see it from clear across the room." So I'm all in on this.
Yeah.
I've organized the widgets the way I think I want them. Now it may change when I get the bigger phone. But the other thing that's super awesome is I always have media playing. In
Hmm.
my bedroom, it's going to be playing on my paired HomePod minis. In my office, it's on the single HomePod mini I have in here. And there's a now
Hmm.
playing widget that just pops up automatically. And
Yep.
notifications
Yep.
come in and all that kind of stuff. And if you want to get rid of the now playing, you just flick it up and then there's a little HomePod icon sitting up there.
Hmm.
If you want it back, you just tap on it. You can control your media, but it's back. So I'm I'm all in on this. I'll definitely be going MagSafe in my trailer as well, and then we'll see because I realized that my wife's got the 13 mini, so it's got
Yes.
MagSafe too, and I had forgotten about that, even though I had just bought her a wallet or tested a wallet on it. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. So
we may
she'll
get
always be able to throw it on your charger too whenever she needs to charge really quick.
right.
My wife does because my side of the bed is by the door, so she'll just come in and throw her watch or her charger on there. Yeah.
Yeah. And if I decide that this triple charger is great, but I see something I want different, I can just hand this one off to her because she's also
Hmm.
got AirPods Pro, and I don't know if they have the wireless charging case or not though. Hers, maybe I'll have to see.
So I think the Pro 2, it's when it came, because I remember it was optional. You can buy it whenever they did
Yeah.
the
No, it
second one.
has to be on
Maybe,
the original Pro because mine has it. So I'll have to test hers. But anyway,
yeah,
but then she could have her watch charging on her nightstand instead of in the bathroom, which might be better
yeah.
for her too. So, um, yeah, the MagSafe is just fantastic. Now, maybe I'll decide that I do want the high speed charging. Like I said, I think I want it in my trailer, and I think I'm going to get that little Anchor cube. So Anchor's got this little cube that pops up on
Hmm.
the top um, for your
For
phone,
your for watch,
slides
yep.
out on the side for your watch,
Oh
and
yeah,
has a
yeah,
drawer on the back for the Qi charger for your AirPods. So that might be what
yeah.
I end up going with there. The only thing is when the thing about trailers is if I'm not plugged into power, then I have to use the USB ports to charge directly. So I'll have to figure
Yeah,
that out a little bit. But anyway, so yeah, I'm all in on the MagSafe now. Yeah, sign me up.
yeah,
I'm going to try and find one for my truck, right? At least
yeah.
a mount for my truck so I can have it in there. I don't drive it a ton. My truck can sit in the garage for a week or more at a time without moving. But
Right.
yeah,
So, but yeah, yeah. So I'm glad you went with the Anchor one that you went with. The first one you showed me was like an off-brand. I don't remember what brand it was, but it was just one of those Amazon import brands.
yeah,
And I saw it. I'm like, yeah, it looks really cool. But um, I noticed with those, the bass are usually so light because I went through the same thing when I was looking for a bass before I found this one. I mean, looking for a MagSafe charger. Bass is so light, you grab the phone, it pulls the phone because that magnet is strong.
yeah,
It pulls the phone and the bass and you know what I mean? So then I went through a version where I had to actually double side tape it down to my nightstand and still wasn't. So I went with one with a little more quality, which was the Belkin one that I shared with you, which looks similar to the Anchor one that
yep,
you got. The base is heavier. The base is it's also a charger too for your AirPods and stuff like that. So when you sent it, the picture of it, I'm like, wow, I thought you were going with the other one. I was surprised. I was pleasantly surprised and relieved that you went with that one. So it looks really good.
yeah.
I think you made the good choice.
Well, and I've already tested it with my case. Here's the funny thing. So I wanted to
Mhm.
make sure that the new case came out that it was MagSafe compatible too. And so it
Yes.
magnets right onto the stand. The cool thing is I was able to take my iPhone 12 because it fits inside that case
Hmm.
and has MagSafe.
It,
And I
it just
lined
kind
it
of
up
floats there.
and it pulled the phone on and started charging the phone too. So I
Oh,
know that the
really?
new iPhone will definitely charge through there
Yeah.
because I can get that to do it. And even the excuse me, the current case that I have on my phone because I
Hmm.
scratched those edges, right? And I had thrown away my Apple leather MagSafe case because it had just died. But this is just a
Yeah.
cheapo, not MagSafe compatible, and it's a little thicker. It will still charge through that case, but it's
Okay.
not as strong on there. If I bump the stand, it slides off.
Yeah.
So,
It'll
but
pop off, but
if
it'll
I
still charge at
yeah,
least.
but if I angle it up because the stand's got an adjustable head, right? If I lay it a little more
Right.
level, it'll stay on better. But yeah, so these stands I think are going to be perfect, and they
Yeah.
weren't expensive. I think one of them was $36, and then the one reason I went up to the triple is because when I saw it, it was only like $46. So it
Yeah.
wasn't that much more expensive. And this triple charger is actually designed for the old watch puck that's got the USB A end because you can actually
Okay.
wind the cord up inside of the stand itself, and there's a USB A port inside
Okay.
the base. So I could wind the whole cord up and not have a cord going out, but I want a fast charge, and you need the USB C puck for that. So
Right. Right. Okay, well, good choice. So did you try the one? It was like a little tripod MagSafe stand. Did you
yeah,
send
no,
that one back, or did you cancel the
I
order?
didn't even order it.
Okay, good.
So
Yeah, yeah. I went through quite a few of those, and it was always just a hassle
yeah,
doing those. They slide all around, and again, there was another one I had to take to the nightstand to get it to stay still, and I'm like, oh, don't even bother with those. So, no, no, good choice.